Good morning, and this is Kim Pinkney, and welcome to my channel. And I have been doing I'm doing some quick sketches before I leave of characters that I kind of grew up with as a kid. And today, I was looking at some of my favorite 80s cartoons, and my all-time favorites. Some of them had a woman of color. So what I'm gonna do, or I don't know. I just picked like one of my favorite characters, and this one, Thundarr the Barbarian, was my favorite. I want to draw Thundarr. I want to draw Oogla. I want to draw Princess Ariel. But today I'm going to draw Princess Ariel. So let me just go ahead and finish setting up. How is everybody today? I'm probably like the only one here, but that's okay. That's all right. If you do happen to come across my stream, just give me a holler and let me know what you think. If you have a favorite from back in the day. With me, I grew up on a lot of 80s cartoons, just a lot of cartoons in general. Saturday morning cartoons was my thing. Oh my goodness. So, and I miss them. I miss, especially this one. I worked hard to catch this particular cartoon. Thundarr the Barbarian was on and then off. It was unpredictable when I'd catch it. And I loved it. It did something for barbarians for me that just live to this day in my imagination. And while I was taking a shower and wondering how, like, if anything, this would have been one of the most amazing reboots ever. Maybe not necessarily in the fashion that it is, currently, but to change the characters up, maybe even do a gender swap, it would been absolutely fascinating to see. If you've never seen Thundarr the Barbarian, it was an 80s cartoon that came out when I was watching it. It would be like one of the last cartoons of the day. I think I would catch it either on CBS or NBC. I'm pretty sure it was like CBS. NBC was doing more kiddie cartoons, whereas CBS was a little bit more open-minded, and I don't want to say, but it had this cartoon was like before its time. It was set in a post-apocalyptic era. So it's like you would see things, pulp culture references. You'd see things that were like landmarks. Like if these guys would travel, and I never really, they never really established an ending. A real true goal. He would come across Thundarr and Oogla and Princess Ariel, who I'm drawing today. They would come across different characters, and they would be changed. They'd try to help people who were just trying to survive. It was just things like that. And they were all Ariel. She was constantly being rescued, but she was like the brains of the bunch, I guess you can say, because she was like a person of knowledge. She knew what a library was. She could read, but they never said exactly what she was a princess of. I'm gonna change the pose up a little bit. Right now, I'm just trying to get a really good pose. A lot of her power came from her hands, and I loved how the characters balanced each other out. Where Thundarr was, he was a barbarian, brought back he seemed like from the intro that he was in a museum. It's really strange. Like maybe he was like somebody's uh, in somebody's menagerie or something like that. So anyway, uh, you don't see too much of his origin or any of their origins. You just pretty much um, are thrown into the action, and that was cool too because you only had a certain amount of time before all the cartoons went off, and there's, like I said, was like the last one I would be able to catch for the day. And my cartoon watching on Saturdays was phenomenal. You had, let's see, from the moment you woke up, about maybe 6 o'clock, um, the cartoons would begin. It would be like the really crappy ones or like obscure ones, and then it would start to get to the high res ones, real good ones. This one here was not a kiddie cartoon. It was cleaned up, I guess, for to be marketed to kids and toys and things like that. But on the whole, it was very mature for its time. It was like what is it called? The equivalent of I'm trying to think. Gosh, it was pretty mature, and it's like a teenager type of thing. Same with Dungeons and Dragons. It wasn't for little kids. It had its moments and stuff like that for little kids, but on the whole, it was pretty dark, and I loved it. And from what I understand, it had really good ratings, but it was canceled because it was so violent. And back in that time, they were trying to do educational things. They think that since kids are watching long hours of cartoons, we may as well make it a little bit more educational. It's like kids like sugary foods, so let's go ahead and put some don't drown your food cartoon segments or something like that in there. Subliminal marketing and crap like that. Saturday mornings was the time where you could find out when the latest toys, latest cereals, and the prizes that come with it. Saturdays were freaking awesome until about noon, and then all the cartoons would go away, and you were back to the normal world. But Saturdays were always magical. To me, they were until about noon, and then it's like that's it. That's all I get, and we were glad to have it. Dang it. But anyway, it's nowadays you can watch cartoons 24 hours a day. You can catch the old ones. If you're lucky, you can maybe even buy the old ones. The sad thing is that they didn't complete them. It's like they were canceled before the story was ended, or if a lot of the times they may not even had an ending. It was so canceled so quickly that they didn't even get a chance to get that far. I'm trying to get her pose in so I can get her whole body, and I might have to make her thinner and smaller. One trick to make your legs look longer is raise the crotch up a bit, but you don't want to raise it up too much because you still have like a body here to deal with and whatnot. So crotch goes up, which will make her legs a lot longer. She had a very simple costume. And you got to kind of think in the 80s, so everything was kind of like leotards and very bold design, but simple. Something that could be animated. This needs to come down a little bit. So I'll put like my own little spin on it, but I still want to keep the original costume, kind of, sort of. And then maybe another time I can like do my own little reboot of what I think the costume could look like or should look like, or a Kim costume redesign type of thing. But yeah, she Ariel was my favorite because she stood up to, uh, and she was smart. And even though she was a girl and everything like that, I mean, she was no less important. Um, her advice wasn't always taken, but her wisdom was listened to. Um, and she was constantly being rescued. But I like how they balanced each other out. Ukla was brute animal strength. It's almost like the id and the super ego type of thing, where um, you've got your intelligence and your finesse and magic, and then you had nature with you had that magic and whatnot with Ariel, and you had nature with Ukla, and you also had like the sci-fi theme where you had what's it called? You had monsters, and Ukla was a monster, but he was like a natural creature, brute strength. I mean, crazy strength. Um, Spoke his own little language, and he, I want to say, had kind of like African to, like a combination of like African to uh, Mayan type of look to his face. It wasn't. I don't think it was a mask. I think that was his actual face. Um, but Ariel knew of the time in the past, but they never established truly who she was, what she was a princess of. They just called her Princess Ariel. And she wore like this medium-sized heels, I think. I mean, it's nothing practical, but I'll give her like a thicker heel. Um, but yeah, I loved that cartoon. And as they kept throwing more kitty cartoons out, and kids get older and their tastes change. They start to play outside, um, and things like that. And this one kind of kept up with me. It was by the time I got a hold of the Thundarr cartoon and things like that, I was at least like 8 or 9 or something like that. I was getting older, so Bugs Bunny had its place, things like that. I liked the gummy bears because the high res and high animation, the animation, I can go a little higher on my crotch too. Um, and one of the other things I liked about it is that it reminded me of Conan. Loved Conan. Um, and I was watching a documentary, and you catch it on YouTube, of the origins, you know, the background story behind the development of this cartoon. And the guys kind of echo my sentiments, even before I watched the documentary of how it came to be and things like that. Anyway, they did some innovative things. They did some rotoscoping, which is taking like live action and adding, you know, uh, drawing over it to give it more of a realistic look. And that's one of the things I liked about this cartoon, is that it looked real. It really just drew you in. And it wasn't like, or as bad as Scooby-Doo cartoons where they reused a ton of images. They did, but not as bad as Scooby-Doo does. It's like limited animation, and it was kind of annoying to watch. It's like, okay, yeah, they're jumping over another bridge, the same thing over and over again as they're traveling. Um, it's just like really limited animation, and but I didn't mind it because the story was freaking awesome. I mean, it's like if they were in New York, you'd see like the Statue of Liberty and things like that. If they were in Hollywood, you would see like the Hollywood sign in the background, and everything was like in rubble, and it was freaking awesome. I don't know. It was a really good cartoon. It was way before its time. And I think another thing that got me on that cartoon was that the bad guy was scary looking. He could change his face around. Gemini is what his name was. And oh my gosh, I was like, ooh, he's spooky. You know, and anything that has like multiple faces, multiple personalities like that was just like, wow. So yeah, it took a lot to scare me from a cartoon. You know, it was exciting. Um, and I think that if all cartoons should be brought back, even if it's just fan art and whatnot. I mean, I am kind of over the white guy saves us all type of thing. Um, so I would bring it back, but with just different, just a little bit different, where I don't know. I would, but it would, if the way I'd bring it back, it would change it a bit. So I don't think it would be a good idea for me to to rewrite it, because I would change Thundarr into a female. I'd change Ariel into a male, or keep her female. Um, and hell, I'd make them all three of them female. You know, just to give it like women are strong. You know, even if Ukla, it's maybe it could be a female wearing a mask and you never see her face, and she doesn't speak English, type of thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, if anything, I would love to see this cartoon come back. I'm gonna see. I want to see if I can find a better looking face for my character here. Um, let's see. Let's see. Make sure I get her braces here. Yeah, and they never established what she was a princess of, or how she got this magic power to do like these blasts or something like that. So right here, I'm just gonna have her um, just like building up magic here. Um, and I want to change her face into something else. I wanted to look as exotic as the pictures, as exotic as the character herself, because she had like these cheekbones, she had these full lips, you know, and she was drawn by the people who would make Conan comic books and things, and comic books in general. So I noticed a lot of that while you know, watching, reading comic books and things like that. Like she had a similar face to like the what was her name, Red Sonja and stuff like that I used to read as I got older. Um, and I thought that was cool as heck. I had no idea about that they actually used um, comic book artists once they got their deal. Yeah, but it animation was just too expensive to keep up, and I just wish they'd bring it back. Everything is so expensive to create. It's like it's almost like you gotta have like all the time in the world in order to create it. Okay. Time, money, all that stuff in order to get these cartoons going. Quality cartoons. And even if it was limited animation, it still was awesome. Let's see. Which one do I want to give up? This one. Okay. And I'm going to look at and see if I can find, because she looks, Ariel reminds me of, I don't know, like almost an Asian, like a dark-skinned Asian lady, because of the way her eyes were drawn. They were like really exotic looking. But I think let's see. I think I found a cute face. Nah, I'll just leave it alone. I kind of like this one too. Let me bring it up closer so I can see it. I apologize if this pops out of the screen just a smidge. Her mouth is too close, and I kind of want her mouth to be open, like she's determined. It's a little warped. If she had these like hardcore cheekbones. Let's see if I can find a better picture. This one here looks a little too young. Oh yeah, this one's a good Ariel. Zoom in a little bit. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make her look more Asian, but or Blasian, I guess you could say. Give her like the mono eyelid. Oh, my music's gone. Okay, let me put on some more. Yeah, I just wish these cartoons would come back like this. This is why I like anime. Anime has these stories that they're not afraid to tell. There is a predominance of male heroes and not as many female heroes, and very, very few black female type anime stories. But hopefully that starts to change, and instead of whining and complaining about it, Kim, you can always make your own, instead of waiting for someone else to come along and create the story of your dreams. Okay, and I'll give her I don't like that I drew it this small, but I wanted to get her whole body in. Yeah, there's so many stories that are set in the apocalyptic, but I just loved how they did the Thundarr one. And this also makes me, gives me more practice with the anatomy, because I've been spoiled just drawing faces and shoulders. And usually she has her hands up in the air, and she's shooting her blast. Let's see, maybe I should change her pose again. Let's see. Because she is like super feminine, so let me see. This arm is not so bad. Bring this arm down. Or even behind her. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I'm gonna make her chest come out a little bit further. And bring this arm down. Yeah, one of the other things I liked about her is that she was tough. She did her best. She could only do so much because she wasn't super powered, but she did have her magic. So where brute strength didn't work, she could always like lend a hand. So she was never useless. Is one of the things I liked about her too. And she's almost looks like Jessica Biel, who would probably not be a bad choice for the character. Okay, do something with her hand here. Let's see, we'll have to be this way. And in that documentary, they also mentioned that they didn't want to use, like when designing the world and how it came to be the way it, had like what do you call it? God, what is it called? Meteors that kind of like flew past the planet and just kind of like created this cosmic event that changed the world. Before they came up with that concept, they were considering like they didn't want to consider like the atomic bomb was what changed the world. But in a sense, I kind of thought it was something similar to that, because you could have mutations and things like that happening, but that happened regardless. Tidal waves and things like that devastated the world, and a whole nother world branched up in its place. You had aliens, you had magic come back into the world, and things like that was happening. Let's see, does she have any other jewelry, or no, she was really super simple. Yeah. Okay. I have a few more minutes and then I gotta go. And she was like she was pretty effeminate and stuff like that. She was very feminine to his masculine. For some reason I don't like this. This is kind of too simple. I don't know. I kind of like something that has like some more strength to it. Let's see, but she wasn't that way. Yeah. Trying to think. How do I still want her to look like the pose is kind of like, you know, she's bracing herself for like something intense. Let's see. If I turn her, like maybe something like this. Instead of that, because this is kind of lame. I apologize. I should have thought more about the pose, like I did with my Thundercat. But a lot of her poses had her with her arms up, and I wonder if that was a little bit more of that limited animation. I'm wondering if that was it. But another thing I liked about her is she was always getting knocked out or knocked down, or, you know, she was in the action. She was in the thick. In the documentary, they have her getting knocked down off of her horse, probably as a setup to be rescued. Let's see. So. I'm trying to do the it makes it hard because her head is just straight up instead of, like, you know, giving me like, let's see, I think I should try to give her let's see. I could do a combination. So like, I could do her arm up and down like that. Let's see, if this leg is, if this is forward, this one could be back. So I could alternate, kind of like that sort of thing. Let's see. Her shoulder that high. Let's see. I could do we'll have this hand down, this hand up a little bit. So she has that going on. Bring that down a little bit further, but out. Or would it be better to come out this way? Just to give it some balance. We'll have the hair go out that way. Never seen her ears though. I wonder if and a lot of times I see her, she doesn't have her mouth open. Could have her looking surprised. She had this jewel. I'm trying to get the right shape of it. I thought it was like a diamond shape, but it might be more of a teardrop shape. I'm looking at this one toy, and it has like a teardrop shape. Now I'm looking at a diamond shape. Okay. I don't know. I'll keep it diamond shape. I like the diamond shape. Okay. And let's see if I can fix her shoe here. All right. Is there anything else I need to add to her? Let's see, I could probably make this arm come up a little higher. You know, I also loved Chitara from Thundercats. She was one of my favorites as well. But no, I chose Lion-O. Lion-O. It was cool though. All the Thundercats were cool. Except for Snarf, but he had his moments. Okay. Alrighty, I have one more half hour, so I think I'll try to outline this so that you can see it a little bit better. This is a chisel tip. Let me see if it's worth a darn. I have to find that hand a little bit better. Oh, that I just poked the pooch on that. Okay. Okay, I don't like this tip on the face. Let's see. Her made her lips like ginormous. Oh, and her eyes are two different sizes and shapes. Let's see if we can fix that. Man, this is not my best. I think I want to draw her over again. Okay. I really should have taken, I should have taken the, God, Inktober a little bit more seriously. That would have been like 30 days I could have finessed my ink line work. I am rushing too. Okay. Alrighty. I need to let that dry a bit before I start erasing and smudging. And her coloring is pretty super simple. Let's see. Okay, I know I can do better. Let me see if I can color it and make it look a little bit better. Something's got to help. This is a dark brown Crayola colored pencil. And I'm just going to get my shadows in real quick. So this leg will be more behind. This one, I should have brought this leg forward like right here. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Okay, her hair I think was black. Let's see. these both light brown? They are both light brown. Let's see. Okay, we'll do the highlights real quick. I think if I do redo this, I'm going to probably do it like in a different perspective. This is really overly simplified, and I know I could do better. Now this is Crayola on Bristol without adding baby oil, and it goes on pretty smooth. This is a Crayola color pencil. Did they have makeup on her? We'll throw a little bit of red. And then we'll go over it with like a darker color, just so it kind of looks not too obvious, I guess. Let's see if we can fix her eyes here. Yeah, next time I think I'll draw her a lot bigger. I'm just pretty much building up the colors. I'm using light brown and sand. Yeah, the face is way too small for me to really do some really good stuff with it. Well, she's better than she was. And this right here is the dark brown. Okay, and then this was like a teal color. I'm going to try something here. I'm going to use the Crayola marker here. I'm going to try to use it as like a watercolor. Okay, I got like 5 minutes. Crap. Okay, black. Here we go. This will work. And then the rest of this is like yellow, so let me see. Maybe I can toss some yellow on here. Ooh, the Kim is not happy. My yellow is kind of dried out. Let me try the other yellow. I think this one's more of a fluorescent yellow. It is. Okay. I got 7 minutes. Okay, and her bands. And her hair. Oh, and the black is dried out. This ain't my day. This ain't my day. You know, and what's funny is I like it when it's kind of dried out like this because I can give it a little bit more in other areas. Make other dark areas a little darker. And give it a little bit more depth until the dark starts to kick in. Wonderful. Okay. Let's try this black. That's not so bad. Smells nice. Actually, this black would not be a bad highlight. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where did you go? There you are. This dual tip stuff throws me off. This is not a bad highlight. Because it's like a lighter, it's black, but it's lighter. Well, its version of black. Don't mess it up, Kim. Ah, you messed it up. Okay. This is all this light color here. I don't want that. It was fine and I went and messed it up. That's alright. We have this of just redrawing it. Alrighty, I've got to hit the happy trail. You guys, thank you so much for hanging with me and my ruining of perfectly good character, such as live. I hope you have a great day, and if you're not too dissuaded from what you see here, be sure to catch tomorrow's. I think I will try to redeem myself, okay? Alright, you guys, have a great one, and see if you can catch any of these Thundarrs on YouTube, okay? This is Kim. I am signing off. Take care. Lords of Light that you are. If you watch the cartoon, you understand what I'm talking about. All right, take it easy. Bye-bye.